Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on Mom Squad. I'm Maureen Kyle, and today we're talking about something that affects so many of us, whether it's personally or with our loved ones, and that's breast cancer. Most likely, you know more than one person who has fought it or is fighting it at the moment. And given this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I'm bringing in my good friend of the show, Danielle Wiggins, who just went through treatment for breast cancer 6 months ago. And it's hard to believe, Danielle, because I feel like it was just yesterday that we all stood together at work and you told us that you had been diagnosed. And that journey has been one that we've been along with you. Has it felt long, or has it felt like it was just yesterday?
Well, it feels long, and then I said, wow, it was just 6 months ago, because it feels like when you go through a cancer battle that it ages you, because you're stressed, you're worried, you're like, what is my prognosis? How am I going to get through this? Am I going to have the support? Is it going to tank me financially, because medical bills are tough to deal with? And so it was in March, or actually the end of February, that I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And for those who have been diagnosed, you know that you don't know the stage right away, or at least my doctors wouldn't tell me or said that they couldn't. They would have to wait to surgery until they find out how big the tumor was. Did it spread outside of the breast? And I had the surgery in March, and thankfully, it was called early, stage 1, and it did not spread outside of the breast. Did not have to have radiation, because I chose to have a mastectomy and remove all of my breast tissue and have reconstruction. And also, medical treatment has come such a far, and has made so many advances, because my oncologist told me that they can now test to see the likelihood of if the cancer will return. And for me, my test scores were low enough that I did not need chemo. If they were higher, they would have recommended chemo just to help decrease the chances of the cancer returning.
Yeah, and just for anybody who is just joining us now for the first time, or just getting to know us here on this show, Danielle and I have worked together for 10 years. Nine. I was going to say, it's almost a decade.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're somebody I see on a daily basis. We've gotten to know each other. We've gotten to know our families. So you have those people in your life. And what was really a gut punch to all of us was you had just celebrated turning 40.
Yes.
And then a matter of weeks later, you come and say, my first mammogram, I found that they found breast cancer, and it was detected on your first mammogram. And we were all taken aback by that.
Yes, it was like, because I've, turned 40, and then I have the Cleveland Clinic as my healthcare provider, and they sent emails. They have an online, many people may have that across the country, where, they'll send emails to remind you of your health screenings, and they say, okay, it's time to get your mammogram. And I've never had one before, but I said, okay. I was like, eh. And so in November, I found the lump, but I knew I had, in December, a mammogram scheduled. So I was like, I'll take it seriously and go and make sure. And I kept failing each mammogram. And I say failing because it's like they pull you to the next level, until they came and said, you know what, I really think this is cancer. And now it's like, oh my goodness, I am so glad that I took this seriously. And because I've talked to a number of women who says that when they found their lumps, their family members would tell them, it's just a cyst. You just have lumpy breasts. It'll be okay. And I'm so glad that I did, because if you can get early detection, I was just reading a story from the Cleveland Clinic, or University Hospitals rather, and saying that if you can detect it early, it increases your chance of survival by 25 to 30%.
Wow. You have been such an advocate. But today I want to focus on that moment where you find out that you have breast cancer, and then we, as part of your support system, finds out you have to fight breast cancer. And I think the question everybody asks is, oh my goodness, what can I do? So we're going to talk about that. But one of the reasons I did want to sit down with you is you also found support groups out there.
Yeah.
And I want you to introduce us to the support group that you just featured, because this is one that I'm sure anybody who's going through it or has a loved one who's going through it, you just want to find people who know your journey and know what you're going to be facing.
Now, this group that I featured is called My Sister's Keeper, and they are amazing and do great work in Northeast Ohio, as well as they have expanded across the country. So check them out. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and ironically, it's also my birthday month. I say that because many of you know I battled breast cancer earlier this year. So instead of receiving gifts for my birthday, I wanted to give the gift of awareness, because it was awareness that saved my life. So today, I'm introducing you to two women who have become sisters bonded by battle, and why they say they're continuing to fight for themselves and others.
I love Army fatigue.
Why is that?
Because I'm a fighter.
Reminiscing on victories while in the midst of battle.
What I like is I'm authentically me.
Tara Douglas, a warrior with a smile, enlisted in an army nobody wants to join.
To find out that I had breast cancer and to go through breast cancer with all this and to see people pass on, I'm like, I gotta make a difference. I gotta keep fighting.
Tara's ongoing war with stage 2 breast cancer began in 2018.
I felt unstoppable.
But this cancer awareness fashion show from last May is being used as a weapon of hope.
Cancer is traumatic, and you can't understand it unless you've been there. And so that's what makes My Sister's Keeper unique.
Sherry White is the founder of My Sister's Keeper, the organization behind the Pretty in Pink fashion show.
And I didn't want to cry.
It's okay, it's okay.
She may be able to wipe away her tears, but Sherry says she can't easily wipe away the trauma experienced after she was diagnosed in 2011 with triple-negative breast cancer. It's an aggressive form of the disease, more common in women under 40, Black women, and those who have a BRCA1 gene mutation. Sherry was 32. She says she has a 46% chance of the cancer returning.
You can't do this alone. You know, I found that out the hard way. I tried to do it alone, and because of that, I created a lot of residual medical issues afterwards: stress, anxiety, depression. You need people.
So Sherry started My Sister's Keeper in 2018.
And she said, your results came back positive for breast cancer.
The organization provides a community of support for women diagnosed with any form of cancer. They also provide monthly educational forums, prayer circles, scholarships, and an annual breast cancer awareness walk in underserved communities.
What is the significance of the walking?
So during the whole event, we share stories. We try to get everyone who's participating feeling as if they know what someone went through when they had cancer. You feel like you're walking in that person's shoes.
And make no mistake, the walk of a cancer warrior can be fierce, even in the midst of battle.
I've been through too much to stop fighting.
So they do such great work, and as you mentioned, they expand across the country, and this isn't just they have to be in your backyard. This is a network that they reach anyone, anywhere. So if somebody is interested in getting in touch with them or starting a chapter, how do they go about it?
They can contact them on their website, My Sister's Keeper, and it's My Sister's Keeper Cleveland. And I'm sure we'll provide links, or you will provide links in the description here so that you can contact them. And if you want to start a chapter in your city, you can.
Yeah.
That support is so needed, especially for people who have gone through it. That is what I found most supportive, is actually the woman who taught me to do those self-breast exams. I worked with her. Her name's Regina Brett. She's written a lot of columns. She's written books, New York Times bestseller. And she actually fought breast cancer about 25 years ago. And I was her producer when I worked at NPR, and she would always talk about it. And I was young at the time, time. And so I said, this is what Regina's talking about.
Yeah.
And that's how I found it. And she was one of the first people that I emailed. And the panic when it set in, like I was okay, for a few weeks, but as I got closer to the surgery and they sent videos and said, hey, watch this. And it's like, and because I didn't know what stage it was like, oh my gosh, I could die. And I was just like going crazy.
Yeah.
I emailed her, and her emails, the words that she spoke were so soothing, so calming. And she knows because she's been there.
Right.
And so groups like My Sister's Keeper really help and touch you because people have walked this journey before you.
Yeah. And so do you think anybody who might be facing diagnosis now, or maybe in the matter of weeks, months, years, they get that diagnosis, would you recommend the first thing they do is find people who have gone through the treatment or groups that know how the treatment goes, people who have been through breast cancer? Was that the most helpful to you?
Well, it depends. It depends on how you are built. Because one of the things that I was very open, we're TV personalities, we're journalists. And so I chose to be open about my diagnosis so that people wouldn't be emailing the station because I was going to be gone for a while. Like, did y'all fire Danielle? And you guys are like, I don't know how to answer this because I can't tell her personal business. So I kind of wanted to make it easy for all of you all and then use it to help others. And so that's me. I'm okay with being open. I'm okay with being transparent. But the downfall of that was I received all types of emails with everyone sharing their stories and breast cancer survivors and cancer survivors. And I have to be honest, some of the stories scared me half to death.
Yeah.
And so for people who are like, ooh, I don't know, you got to kind of take it, one step at a time. Maybe talk to your doctor and say, this is what I'm dealing with. Can you recommend someone who helps? A lot of healthcare providers, they provide like mentorship programs of people who have walked through it. And they, kind of know what to say and what not to say. Right. So I would say, as someone who has gone through the breast cancer fight, or if you have gone through a cancer fight or anything, maybe don't share the intricacies of your story or your sister's story or whoever went through something, especially if they passed away, because a lot of times that scares people half to death and you want to give them hope.
Right. Hope is so key. And then for anybody else who, like us, I have not faced breast cancer. I've gotten my mammograms, and heard other stories. But for me, I felt helpless. I didn't know what to do for you. And I think everybody is faced with, a loved one who is going through maybe some treatments or facing a tragedy. You always say the words, let me know how I can help, right? Everybody says, let me know how I can help.
I hated that.
I genuinely want to know how I can help, but I feel like those words are so empty when you say it, when you are facing such a challenge, and I'm going, let me know how I can help. So for people who do genuinely want to help, what was it that helped the most in those days of not only the diagnosis, but then when you were going through treatment and needing some assistance?
And again, that is personalized as well. So for me, it was gift cards for food because I knew I couldn't cook. I knew I couldn't clean. I couldn't do those things. My husband was taking care of us. We still have 2 kids that had to go to school and do those things. So providing meals was very helpful. And I didn't necessarily want people to cook for me because I was trying to be what I call a fake vegan. Yeah. Fake vegan. I love eggs. So I couldn't give up eggs. And I didn't want to make it hard on people like, I'm not eating this or that or this.
Yes.
So the gift cards were amazing. But one of the things that I said that was really tough on me is when people will say, let me know what I can do for you. If there's anything I can do, please let me know. I didn't know how to respond to that because number one, I didn't know what I needed. I never went through cancer before. But number two, I did once say, well, you know what? I need A, B, and C. And the person kind of looked at me like, I didn't mean that. So what I would say is for those looking to support, come up with maybe 3 things that you can do. Say that is in your wheelhouse. Like, I can pick your kids up. I can come clean your house. I can come do this. Give them options and say, these are things that I am capable and willing to do. If you need these, let me know. I am more than willing to do that. So at least that person knows, okay, this person is going to do this, this, and that. And that's more helpful. For instance, someone I know had someone close to them pass away. And I text them, I liked food. I wanted somebody to come clean my house because that was the biggest thing that I needed because I couldn't clean. And so I texted them, I said, hey, here's what I can do for you. I can give you money. I can make you a meal, or I can come clean your house. Which one would you like? They never responded. And it's okay. And I'm going to go back and maybe I'll just send them a Cash App for some money. But at least instead of just saying, hey, I'm here for you if you need me. Because people aren't most likely going to reach out.
I mean, that is a sticky situation. You never want to, when somebody says, how can I help? It is kind of strange to go, gift cards would be nice. But I think you're helping a lot of us by being honest about that and saying gift cards did help. This is what we need to know. And I remember, and in case, I don't know if we've mentioned that you opted for the double mastectomy.
Yes, I did.
And so physically,
they're like, you can't lift your hands. And I wasn't cleaning. And somebody, my girlfriend came into town and you know, you're prideful. And I was like, I'm going to clean the bathroom. I don't want you coming here in this dirty home. And she came, and this is when I realized, okay, Danielle, ask for what you need. If you really, you can tell that somebody is really going to help you. So she came in, she did all my laundry, and then she cleaned my room. Our bedroom, our dirty bathroom, cleaned it up. And then I said, did you clean my bathroom up? She goes, no, Kristen did it, who's my daughter, my 11-year-old at the time. And I'm like, Kristen can't clean that well. And she was like, I'm sorry. But that let me know, like, this is what I really needed. And I wanted to ask somebody to help. And so the next time that somebody I knew who was like, I really want to help, I said, you know what, I really could use my house being clean. And they paid for somebody to come and clean the house up, which was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. But that doesn't go for everyone. Some people don't like people in their personal space. They don't want people coming to clean their house. So that's why I say you just say, here's some options for you that I think may be helpful. Let me know if this works.
And you were very open about the toll that it also took emotionally on your family, and you have kids. What do you think helped them the most? Did anybody do anything that really helped support them because they're going through it along with you?
It was interesting because my daughter is the type of person who keeps things close to the chest. She was hilarious when we told her that I had cancer, or I will say we, because the whole household pretty much now had to deal with cancer. And I say she was hilarious because, you know, my son, who is a little bit more emotional, and, you know, he started crying and he said, Mommy, I don't want to watch you die. And again, we didn't know the staging at that time. And we waited a bit to tell them until we were able to meet with the doctor to at least answer questions, because when we found out, you don't know right away. You have to meet with your breast surgeon, and they kind of explain what type of cancer it is and things like that. And so my daughter goes, well, do you have medical insurance? Because if you don't, we're going to be out on the street. And we just all started laughing. And we needed that, you know. But I didn't realize that she keeps things close to the chest. I'm thinking she's okay. But I took her to a birthday party like months later. And the mother comes up to me and she says, because she recognized me from TV. She didn't when I first dropped her off. And then she's like, I know who you are. And she was like, oh my goodness, I did not make the connection of your daughter. She was like, because your daughter called my daughter and she was just crying, talking about my mom had breast cancer, has breast cancer. And that hit me because she never cried to me.
To you.
Yes.
Wow.
So one of the things is you're so focused on, you know, yourself, making the decisions that you need to, really having those people around that can kind of be that village to help your children through it. And even if you can't like help the person, so I'm talking about the people that want to be the village, if you can't help the person going through cancer, if they have kids, maybe you can come over and just say, hey, I'm gonna take them to get some ice cream or whatever their favorite thing is, because, you know, they are going through it as well. And sometimes they may feel like, I can't say anything because it's all about mommy. It's all about daddy.
Yeah. And before we wrap up, I do want to ask, because I'm always curious about what to say or what not to say. Do you have any advice on the things that helped that people would say, or the things that hurt or were difficult when people would say them?
So, you know, because we didn't know at first, and I was trying to share with people in, you know, my children's vicinity, like schools and stuff like that, just so they could be prepared that we were about to tell them. And it hurt me. And I remember someone says, "Well, I don't keep secrets." I mean, I just started broke down crying, because I was like, I'm not asking you to keep a secret. I'm preparing you for what's about to happen, and I'm saying that we're going to tell them this day. We're not like not going to tell them. Yeah. And so, you know, that was kind of hurtful. And again, one of the things is, don't share the stories of the person who had cancer that passed away, or, you know, that it was so traumatic, and, you know, those people are really scared who are going through this. So, you know, just say, hey, you know, I'm with you. Some people hate saying, you got this, especially if their cancer is terminal and they know it's going to end their life. So, you know, another ways is just, you know, hey, I'm here for you. Hey, you know, if you're a person that prays, I'm praying for you. Or if you're not, I'm thinking of you. Sending text messages, those are good things to do. And just to let them know that you're thinking of them and that you just haven't moved on with your life, and that you acknowledge what they're going through. Yeah.
Danielle is always so open. Danielle Wiggins, thank you so much. I mean, we're happy to say that you are in a steady treatment, but so far, so good.
So far, but it's only been 6 months. Yeah. And another thing that from my sister's keeper that we saw in the piece is, well, no, I didn't include that in the piece, but they don't like the word survivor. And that really touched me, because I was afraid to say survivor too. Yeah. Because you never know, it could come back. So, and they're always worried, and it's like, oh, I'm a survivor, and if it comes back, like, oh, I'm not a survivor anymore. Right. So instead, they use the term warrior. And I love that. Yeah. So that might be something that people may consider if you're like, I have cancer. I don't like that word survivor. But warrior.
That's such a great perspective. Well, you are a warrior. You have helped so many people by sharing the information, sharing your journey, sharing resources. So I'm so happy that you sat down with me and sat down with our audience here to let them know exactly what to say, what to do, because we're always fumbling around that when it comes to somebody who's going through it.
And there's grace and mercy. So even the person that said those things that hurt my feelings, I knew their intention wasn't to hurt my feelings. So there's grace and mercy there.
Exactly. See, she's amazing. Oh. Danielle, thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for joining us here on Mom Squad. Next week, we are also talking about it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We are joined by Tamron Hall. You may know her, megastar. She talks about some programs that you may need to know, especially if you have a loved one facing those challenges. So I'm Maureen Kyle. Thanks again for joining us on Mom Squad. We'll see you back here next week.